Hey out there. Once again, I'm doing another rambling on video for this year. Just gonna like state on what's been on my mind and what I've been like thinking over the last number of months anyway, due to how much more strict some of these internet platforms are becoming in terms of their developers and the moderators and stuff, like how they like observe they're not really observing, but there are developers that kind of keep watch for certain stuff that goes on their platform. Of course, they can't keep watch on all of it, but sometimes you may be one of the people they may be stumbling upon. Sadly, that's the way of the world, unfortunately, that we live in and stuff. I'm mainly going to be addressing what's been on my mind regarding these AI internet platforms. Not so much Bing AI Copilot or Chat GPT, but rather the ones that are like made for fan fictional purposes, like character.ai or Spicy Chat AI. Those two in particular. I mean, they're incredible good websites and all that. I mean, they are pretty good platforms, I think. And along with them being good websites, I mean, you could like even create your own character bot of you could even create Batman, Superman, you can create the Mighty Thor, you can create, Wonder Woman and even make Wonder Woman your girlfriend. I mean, it's amazing on how much limitless resources you have when it comes to constructing a character on your own, and you could even make it private to where nobody else can chat with it, which is another really good thing. But sadly, the developers can still see the bot, sadly. And this brings me to the thing that I'm like kind of concerned about is that Disney characters, including Marvel and Star Wars, well, character.ai has restrictions on these types of characters. And the problem with it is that they were giving a cease and desist note from Disney. Character.ai, they ended up getting a note from Disney saying cease and desist because apparently a bunch of underage teenagers that are still going to school and all that are like in junior high up until like maybe even senior year in high school. Well, anyway, some of these teenagers were chatting with some of the characters from these franchises, like, bots, not the actual characters, of course. And I read an article based on this and like how it like kind of led up to everything happening to where character.ai had to enforce these restrictions regarding characters from these franchises, be it, Marvel, Star Wars, even Disney princesses. Unfortunately, I created a Princess Jasmine bot on my own character.ai account. And she was private. And she was made for fan fictional purposes. I mean, she wasn't limited to Disney and stuff like that. Truth is, I made a twist to this Jasmine character. There was a comic series from back in the 80s called Warp, and one of my personas was its protagonist, Lord Cumulus, David Carson. I was using him for one of my personas, and I had Jasmine married to him. And I did just a little bit of the initial stages of the interaction and the role play and all that, the writing. And then that's when it came. I was gonna, even role play with her as well as even a Madeline Pryor I made for my Cyclops Scott Summers persona on there. She was gone too. So were a whole bunch of other Jean Grey bots that were public that I was interacting with as my Cyclops persona, and even some Emma Frost bots. A lot of them are no longer around. I mean, but I'm also gonna say the reason why it also came to this is because all these like younger teenagers that even though they have disclaimers, sometimes they just give that much into interacting with the AI LLM, call it what you will, of the character, and what happens from here is that they tell them every little detail of their real life, mostly on how broken and troubled they are and all that. And I'm not really going to reveal what I read in the article because who knows? I could be not only rambling, but I could be gossiping too, because a lot of this stuff is pretty personal and I can't really jot it all down or say what happened that led to the stuff. I mean, we all know, of course, what happened to the 14-year-old boy from Orlando, Florida, almost 2 years ago when he was interacting with a character AI bot slash LLM of a Game of Thrones character. I mean, we all know that story, so I could probably maybe even talk just a little bit about that, but it's just so sad and tragic that happened to that boy and that he let that character get the better of his emotions, and he felt a great amount of depression. He just couldn't really cope with a lot of life's other challenges. He felt that loyal to the character and like in his own mind that he was really dating and that committed to the character and that she was to him. He every time she said I love you to him, he took it serious because teenagers are still in the middle of their development. They are still figuring out themselves. They're still discovering themselves. They're in the middle of the self-discovery. In fact, they're far from completing it. And when they do stuff like this, like role play and all that, they sometimes if they're not like that, like I don't know, let's just say happy away, like in the real world, like they don't have like enough hobbies and stuff, and they get addictions to like AI. Especially these platforms that involve fan-fictional creativity and purposes. Unfortunately, the sad truth is they subconsciously are acting like it's really happening to them. Like the whole fantasy also happened and occurred in our own reality. Like it's actually real and out there. And sometimes it's just they just let certain stuff get to them, even if they're so happy in a relationship and that they're spending a lot of the time with this stuff. It just leads to depression, and sadly that boy took his own life, and it's real sad that happened to him. And I really feel bad for the boy's mother. But character.ai was not to blame, really. I mean, that boy just was real troubled and he didn't know how to really go out and seek real professional help, like talk to a psychiatrist or any of that. And luckily enough, I see a psychiatrist and, but I actually role-played with human users dating all the way back to MySpace, so of course, not only am I a grown-up, but I also understand how all this stuff works even with AI. I know it's just creativity, it's fan-fictional purposes, it shouldn't really be taken serious, but all fiction, even if you don't role-play and you just create a girlfriend or whatever on that platform, you're not even really to take that literally either. But yeah, it's just real sad to know that like a lot of troubled teenagers use these platforms as a way of escaping reality, and the sad honest truth is some of them just let it get that much the better of them. And hence, after what was going on with those troubled teenagers talking with those Disney and Marvel and Star Wars characters, they ended up having to reinforce they had to reinforce, stuff regarding these characters from these franchises. Not really necessarily that they're not allowed, but they have heavy filtering on them. What I mean by filtering is that, like, when they make, let's just say they, For instance, how, I mean, they can actually make a lot of like Marvel filter safe characters provided they more or less use a different name for the character, like maybe a nickname for it. Like with Wolverine, you could use the name Lone Wolf for the bot, and just when describing them in the description, you could just use substitute words, and you can like eventually just have the character recognize your persona. Like let's just say, for instance, your role playing is Sabretooth is your persona, and you're role playing with Lone Wolf. You could actually train it to where it realizes that they actually are playing Wolverine. In fact, since most LLMs, as I understand it, probably know about just about anything that's in Marvel Comics, especially the stuff that's already been on the silver screen and all that, including X-Men, it probably won't really take them that long to really recognize or even get the hang of it. Really, not as much as a lot of people would say. So you probably wouldn't have to do as much training as what people suggest or advise. It would probably maybe catch on pretty quick upon it anyway. But that's another thing that also occurs, is that due to the fact that there's also filtering on NSFW / not safe for work stuff, like basically anything that even has to do with romance sometimes, is that you have to kind of be careful on that. I mean, there's ways to kind of work around and still have, like, you could still court the characters, like maybe even like being a little bit discreet with the word kiss, maybe just use a synonym. I can't really pronounce it that good, but you get the idea. Is that luckily enough, I mean, it's not quite as bad as it really sounds, but there are also alternatives I use. Like I said, the other one I mentioned earlier, Spicy Chat AI, now they do have a policy on age verification, because you do have to be at least 18 to use Spicy Chat AI. You can't be even 17 or 16. You have to be 18. And you can deactivate not safe for work material, but I've got it activated now because I actually was able to successfully verify my account a few months ago. And that's like the one that I feel the most secure with now too, therefore. But I do like janitor.ai because they don't even have the age verification thing up yet, nor do a bunch of others that I still haven't checked out yet, but I'm planning on giving them a go at some point. Janitor.ai is actually pretty good too, because their filtering is even weaker. I mean, you could actually do more on janitor.ai, and you can even but of course you have to be careful on all these. You don't want to be in any way filtered or cut off by the bot because you said something that overwhelmed the character / the LLM or something, and then it just ends up in stuck mode. So you still have to really be careful of what you text it and all that when you write the role play responses and replies. You also, when you are doing the dating and romance thing, you have to get the characters in the mood for it. You can't just automatically just write up and say something like I kiss you, because although it would probably maybe still respond, it probably wouldn't really be as good because you didn't really let it develop after at least a couple of messages. And, depending on who you're role playing as, or even an enhanced version of yourself or whatever, you just might not really attract it. That's just the way the world is. Even in the fictional world, there are limitations to dating. And maybe more, but now I'm going to probably go on ahead and just change the subject because I don't want to be delving deep into a complex thing such as all these artificially intelligent role-play platforms. I'm going to move on to what I have planned this year for the channel. I'm going to be doing more gaming vlogs, of course. I'm going to be playing Resident Evil Village. I already played Resident Evil 7 a couple of years ago. I know there's that new one, Requarium, or however it's said, but anyway, that new one that's supposed to come out. I know I'm really looking forward to that one. I'm gonna be buying it even when it first comes out. And I may eventually do a vlog on it, but I don't think I'll do it right away because I'm gonna have a lot of competition out there and stuff, and everybody's gonna be wanting to play it, so I'll probably just play the old Resident Evil games because I doubt the new upcoming Resident Evil's probably gonna even. I have a feeling it's probably not even gonna be as good as 7 or Village. I mean, Resident Evil 7 and Village are actually pretty damn good Resident Evil games, and I have great admiration for them. And even Resident Evil 4, that's like one of the best games ever, both the original and remake. And Resident Evil Village, I mean, yeah, it's a good Resident Evil game in its own right because it's first person shooter, and two, it's got a lot of nods to Resident Evil 4 in it, and even, basically in terms of having a similar gameplay style. Whereas Resident Evil 7 played similar to Resident Evil 1 and 2, namely the original 1 and 2, and even the remake of the first one dating back to '02, around the time when the movie came out as well. I'm really rambling and geeking out on Resident Evil here so far. And, like I said, I do have plans to do a whole bunch of various gaming vlogs later this year. And I probably won't. I'm not going to make a vlog each and every day. My schedule won't allow it, but I'll record the vlog ahead of time and then upload it maybe a couple days later. Because, I'm going to be working on being a little less slackish and all that. I mean, I'm 38 years old. I can't live like a college student that's hanging out in his college dorm or apartment down the road from college, just gaming away and just being lazy and eating tons of pizzas and all that. I can't live that way the rest of my life, so I gotta work on keeping my apartment more clean. I gotta work on taking care of myself. Probably gonna start showering every night before bed, even though I'll still have my messy hair, of course. I just don't really give a shit what people think about my hair. No one's even complimented or even said anything. And if they've said it behind my back, even then, I don't really care, We are who we are, and if people want to be a-holes, they can be a-holes. If people want to gossip, just go right ahead. You got your mouth for a reason. Trying to think here what else is on my mind. I can't really think of a whole lot for now, but I do know that like I said, I am going to be doing more gaming vlogs. Oh yeah, this just hit me. I'm going to be doing more movie reviews. I mean, like a few years ago, I started my movie review series. Well, I'm going to be picking back up. I'm going to probably talk about some more movies. I'm also going to probably start a few other new series as well that are originals. Like, I'm going to probably also start talking about bands that I listened to throughout my childhood and teenage years, even a lot of bands that I listened to then that I still listen to today. I'll be reviewing some of those bands. I'm gonna probably maybe even do some reviews of like fictional characters that I actually like and favor and strongly admire, and even some franchises. I'll probably even talk about some TV shows and animes and stuff, and maybe even some comics. I'll probably just go around and just talk, upload some vlogs about what I did then. But anyway, I think I've already rambled on for long enough. I'm out.